I've already done my Cert IV. I don't need more training.
Yeah, pretty much every BAS agent's going to laugh at that.
Yeah, okay. Well, why do they even need the Cert IV then?
Well, I mean, the Cert IV gives you the basics, gives you the baseline. But then there is so much more to what we do, and, you know, what we are is problem solvers, and I don't think that they learn that in the Cert IV or even in the uni degree. They miss that completely. It's like, okay, we're going to give you a question here, and, you know, there's going to be 3 things wrong with it.
Yeah, right.
That's not reality.
Yeah, you just don't get the lived practice experience, right?
No.
And is that what you offer?
That's what I offer, but I also offer them the checklists and templates and things so that they can recreate it. And, you know, when they're balancing to the balance sheet, they need a structure.
Pinch Me, I'm Dreaming here at Darling Harbour. Look at this. It's beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful afternoon. And we've just wrapped up 2 days at the ICC, the TikTok Entertainment Centre, where we were at the Accounting and Business Expo of 2026, and it was fantastic. And I'm very, very privileged for episode 6 to be joined by Kelly from Bookkeeper Support, Kelly Berger.
Thank you.
Not Burger. Don't be calling her Kelly Berger. How the bloody heck are you?
I am great. I am deliriously happy right now. The conference is over. It's done.
You must have been having such a great time.
Hey, the party boat last night was sensational.
Yeah, there were some interesting things that went down on that party.
Oh, yes, but what happened on the party boat stays on the party boat.
If you say so. I've been telling everybody. I've been telling everybody that would listen. All right, we're here to talk today about you, about Bookkeeper Support, about bookkeepers in general. Bit of a backstory. You've been a Pinch partner for a couple of years. You have been an ambassador of Pinch for a little while, and we're obviously big ambassadors of Bookkeepers. We were like together, what was it when we were down here last? We came down here for a conference here, right?
Yes.
What was the conference?
That was the Small Business Expo, I think.
The Small Business Expo.
Was the last time we were hanging out, yeah.
That's right. And we got a steak, went down to Meat and Wine Co.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Good steak, yep. And we, shout out to Meat and Wine Co. And we had a great chat, 45 minutes, an hour or so. We were just sitting there just having a chin wag about bookkeepers. And I thought to myself, you know what? Man, Kelly, you got so much to say, so much important stuff to say. And so that's why we're here right now. Because I want you to talk to the world, because I feel like if there's one person I've ever met, at least, that like speaks on behalf of bookkeepers, it is you, to be honest. Like, I know that there's, you know, the ABN and all of that, but like, I feel like that you work closer than they do with bookkeepers. Let's start from the top. Let's talk about Bookkeeper Support. What is it? Why does it exist?
Well, I started off as wanting just a water cooler kind of presence on Facebook for bookkeepers, because I noticed that there was no presence on there. There was no ICB, no ABN, no nothing. And so it just started out as a water cooler kind of conversation between bookkeepers who worked for themselves to figure out, you know, answer questions.
Yep.
And so I got a couple of my mates on there. And then they invited a couple of their mates, and then they invited a couple of their
I know how that goes.
8,500 members later.
That's amazing.
And we're all there to support each other and, you know, guide each other and answer questions, you know, especially when we're having those moments of, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yep.
And it's been a fantastic community to run and be a part of. And from that stemmed my my love of retreats and taking bookkeepers away from their environment and actually asking them, hey, let's, you know, set up systems, let's do processes, let's do things to make our businesses better. I've learned a lot from them over, I don't know, we've been doing them for about 10 years. 10 years in different states and everything, and I've loved it. And I learn a lot from them, and, you know, we learn a lot together, and we do a lot of implementation now, and it's a fantastic ride. And from that came all the courses and training my own staff in my own bookkeeping practice. Literally, they came straight out of their Cert IV, straight into my business. Away we go.
So talk to me about your practice years. How long were you in practice, and what was it that caused you to decide to make the switch?
So I was 15 years in my own practice. I'd gone through 6 staff in that time, so that's a pretty good turnover for me.
Yeah.
And I was getting burnt out. And then I had an accident, so I broke my leg in 3 places, and it's never recovered properly. So I can't work the hours I used to work.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what? I can do all this online stuff. I can do it in my own time and be able to have the mindset to be able to support others. And, you know, we'd just come out of COVID, and that was a really hard time for a lot of us. We struggled significantly as well, mental health wise. And so I just went, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. This is no longer my passion. You know, I still do the rescue work. I still got accountants ringing me and going, oh my God, this client has just absolutely destroyed their books. Can you fix it? Yeah, sure, no worries. And so I've still got my hand in it very much, but I'm just on a different platform to it now. And selling my practice was the best thing for me to take the pressure off, and to get us out of a lot of debt that we accumulated during COVID, thanks to, you know, our multiple businesses we were running at the time. So yeah, I'm grateful that, you know, that paid off most of the debt, and I was able to move forward and just put my whole heart into Bookkeeper Support.
So Bookkeeper Support, you've got the Facebook group, you do retreats, you've got online training.
Yep.
Am I missing anything?
One-to-one mentoring, one-to-one,
Okay.
you know, guidance, training. And, you know, I also train small business owners to do their own books, and empower them to understand their financials, because if they're doing their own books at the beginning when they're a startup, then they're going to understand what's happening in their books, you know, when they hand it over to a bookkeeper or an accountant and go, oh, hang on a second, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm empowering them.
And by the time they do it, it's not trashed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're not behind on their taxes or not behind on things. So it's just empowering them to make sure that, you know, they're keeping on top of their obligations and whatnot. Yeah, so I train them as well, and try and encourage them to pay attention to their financials, and we have fun.
What's the weirdest client you've got?
Ooh. I think more scenarios rather than weirdest clients.
Nah, like, do you have any, like, you know, clown colleges or anything, like, odd like that? That's what I mean. I don't mean it weird. You haven't got any strange businesses? There's, like, at Pinch, we sign up, like, some pretty bizarre businesses.
Oh, I could imagine.
Like, not like inappropriate, but, like, you know, you just look at it and you just go, I can't believe that that's actually a company. Like, you've got nobody like that?
No, I don't have anyone like that.
Have you ever?
Not that I can remember, no. They've all been pretty standard businesses, you know, tradies and home decorators, interior decorators, and restaurants and all that stuff. But had some pretty weird transactions. But yeah, apart from that.
We've got some weird ones. What's, like, one that we posted about? Yeah, a doula.
Oh, wow.
You've never had a doula?
No, I haven't.
I'm going to say something.
That's very cool.
I'm going to say something, and I'm going to caveat this by saying, you know I don't believe this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, I've already done my Cert IV. I don't need more training.
Yeah, pretty much every BAS agent's going to laugh at that.
Yeah, okay. Well, why do they even need the Cert IV then?
Well, I mean, the Cert IV gives you the basics.
Yeah.
Gives you the baseline. But then there is so much more to what we do, and, you know, what we are is problem solvers, and I don't think that they learn that in the Cert IV or even in the uni degree. They miss that completely. It's like, okay, we're going to give you a question here, and, you know, there's going to be 3 things wrong with it.
Yeah, right.
That's not reality.
Yeah, you just don't get the lived practice experience, right?
No.
And is that what you offer?
That's what I offer, but I also offer them the checklists and templates and things so that they can recreate it. And, you know, when they're balancing to the balance sheet, they need a structure, right? Now, I'm ADHD and I am chaos.
Yeah.
Like, I am not organised. You wouldn't believe me behind the scenes. And I have a lot of people that help me, you know, to create that structure. And when my daughter was diagnosed with ASD, level 2, I realised that she needs organisation, she needs structure. And so I've always kind of worked with her to create that structure for her. And, you know, and with some of my employees also ADHD, so we've all found out later. It's quite funny because it's like, I understand.
I refuse to get diagnosed.
That's understandable. You know, you don't have to, but you've got to embrace yourself. Embrace yourself, who you are. Yeah, I mean, I don't like labels, but it just helps for me to understand my brain.
I'm Joe Virgin.
But yeah, so working with my staff members who are also like, one's ADHD and very structured. So we had to find ways and different systems to use in order to get the right balance for both of us. You know, and I mean, I used to drive them crazy because, you know, they come to me and go, okay, I've got this massive problem. Okay, great. And then I'd go, okay, you create a system for it. because Eva was great at systems, and I just went, yeah, you create a system for it. That's fantastic. You know, and I would never necessarily follow them because they were always in my head.
Yeah.
And my staff used to call me a computer brain because we'd be talking about a problem, and then, you know, and we'd be talking about figures and things, and then they come back to me like 2 hours later and go, oh man, what was that figure? I'm going to have to go look it up again. And I go, it was this.
Are you a list person?
I like my lists, but I like my lists in paper form.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like the feeling of going, it's done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
so satisfying to me.
that's satisfying to everybody, isn't it? Like, that's like,
yes,
that's such a good life hack for people who, you know, struggle with organization. Like, just literally, because it trains your brain to develop that reward system for completion.
Yes, and for me, if I write it down, it sinks in my memory, so I don't need to have the list there all the time. It's already in my memory.
Externalizing your memory.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So it works really well.
Okay. What would you say the biggest problems are that bookkeepers face today? Just going for the big ones right now. Straight into it. Let's go. Start with the big one.
Yeah, so it's probably the compliance and the keeping up with the changes that we've had. The TPB changes, the code of conduct changes, the QMS implementation, the AML that's just coming out. You know, everybody's like struggling to keep up. I mean, we've had change after change after change since COVID started.
It's crazy.
Yeah. You know, and we got through that. So, you know, my belief is embrace the new and, you know, try and find a better way of doing systems and, you know, having the structure and having the processes there. It's the only way to get through and, you know, and eventually you'll become efficient and you'll know it off the top of your head. But you've just got to embrace the change and understand that this is a constantly changing industry and it's not going to slow down. You know, the more poor accountants that we have, the more poor BAS agents we have, the more likely the TPB is going to say, well, we're going to implement more systems for you or more compliance for you, right? So it's kind of like we need to shape up as an industry and go, right, okay, well, let's get all this in place. Let's start making better bookkeepers and better accountants. So then the TPB is going, well, we don't have anything to worry about. You know, we're not going to enforce any more compliance for you because you're doing great. You know, same with the ATO. You know, if we're doing our job, then they're getting the money they should be getting, nothing more, nothing less, you know, and then they're not going to sting us with, well, you haven't been doing your job. So it's all about processes and procedures. And as much as people hate paperwork, it's the only way to go. And the amount of accounting firms that I am shocked and big bookkeeping firms that don't have processes or procedures in place, and then they lose one of their key staff members and have to get them back to contract, you know, just so that they can get the work done because they have nothing in place. And I see it all the time, unfortunately, and it's something that's got to change.
When you see it, like what's the first thing that you do? Like, what's the first step that you take? Like, if you were like, you know, you got a new client and you can see that it's a disorganized client that don't have too many processes.
Yeah, so I tend to work with the client and go, okay, what can we identify as your primary concern? What do we need to look at and go, right, that is where it's falling over significantly. How can we fix that? You know, and you find something that you can implement, whether it's tech or whether it's, you know, just a simple paper form, anything just to document what you need to do. You know, you need to be able to replicate and you need to be able to follow the system, and it has to be simple. Don't make it complex. I had an argument with my daughter's school because every time we went away, they'd give me this complex plan for her study while we were away. I said, can't you just tell me the course? Give me the link to the information that she needs and the due date? Can't be that simple, right? So it is very much about keeping it simple, but it's also about making sure you've got the right systems in place for what you need and for your staff, and understanding that when you're training staff, they're all different. They don't learn the same way. They don't. You know, some need more structure, some need less. So it's really working to their strengths and being able to pinpoint where it is they're falling over and trying to help them create their own system that's going to work for them, but is also compliant with your systems.
So you mentioned tech there briefly. What sort of technology have you been using lately to solve problems like this?
Ooh, I've been playing with a lot of tech lately. I love tech. So I've been playing with things like Expert and Practice Ignition and, you know, a lot of the ones that we've got currently in the market that have been big names and big big things, light year. I saw a lot of new tech here today, and a lot of people have come up to me and said, oh, hey, have you seen our tech? And I'm like, no, I haven't, but I'd really like to be interested in it because I'm very, agnostic. I'm not conforming to one particular, format or one particular.
You don't become a zealot for tech.
No. I teach Mild, Reckon, QBO, Easy Business App, Xero. I teach them all because not every system suits every person. And so if you start to look at, what it is that they actually need, you might find that one system works for one person, one system works for another. Trello works really well for me because it's color-coded and I can see, the overview and I can chat to my, my mentoree. Carbon worked for my offsite at Eva, right? Because it was all structured and it was very, but it was too wordy for me. I couldn't wrap my head around it. So when you're training, when you've got staff, it's about adapting to what they need to make the system work. But it all has to come down to what processes and systems you have in place now and how can we adapt them.
So you're the first person that I've heard mention Easy Business App in the same breath as the rest of those accounting platforms. I'm a fan. I like Easy Business App.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Look, I just think they're another one that's up and coming in the market. They're constantly evolving. It's a cheaper option for a lot of businesses and it's so easy to use.
Yeah.
When they say Easy Business App, it really is easy. I've done a few tutorials on it and things like that for my mentorees and we've got quite a few clients around that are using it now. Yeah. And I put my sister onto it and everything. Yeah, because it is easy and you can just jump in there and you can get things done and you can find everything very quickly.
Yeah.
When you're learning, when you're going from like Mild AR to Xero, it's a completely different beast.
Yeah.
And so learning the structure of each of the softwares of what the key things are, key elements are, once you know that, you're good. So it's just about, adapting. And that's what our industry needs to do more of is adapt to changes and embrace technology. But you have to make sure the technology is what you need to make your business efficient.
Okay, that was a loaded statement.
Yeah.
You said you need to make sure the technology is what you need.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the fact that like some practices and some businesses overuse technology or like, try to square peg round hole technology where it doesn't fit?
Yeah, it depends on the business. It depends on the needs. And I think that's where we have a problem because on social media, people will ask, what's the best software to use for accounting, right?
Yeah.
And it's always the same answer. And I'm always sitting there going, no. It is what's right for your business. I'm not going to recommend Xero with 100 add-ons if it's a manufacturing company because my AR does that so much better.
Okay.
And does better job costing and those kind of things. And it's one platform and it's one entity, right? And so I'm not going to recommend something that's going to just do them for now. It needs to do them in the future as well. So if they're planning to, I'm going to add exporting, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then you need to know all that up front so that you can actually give them the right software. It's the same with our practices, right? There are so many software options for us, but what is going to work for us, right? What do we need as a practice? Okay. Where do we want to go?
So AI. Love it or hate it?
Love it.
Okay. How do you use it?
I use Claude AI primarily, and so I did use ChatGPT, but it was limiting for me.
ChatGPT is not good enough for Kelly, Sam Altman. Improve. I just found Claude was a little bit more approachable, and we've got Claude with the personality. My sister kind of went in and had a conversation with Claude, and then when Claude doesn't feel right, what would you like to be named? And he decided Flynn. Hey, what?
So Flynn is now my sister's work husband because we use him all the time.
Oh, dear. I wonder if there's a future where we'll be actually marrying AI.
Who knows?
Seems like.
Yeah, AI is a fantastic tool, but that's all it is. It is a tool. We still need to have our brains working. We still need to have people. Our systems here in Australia are so varied and grey that there is no way an AI could fully function in an accounting instance.
Yeah.
It's great for helping us to, identify risks and, identify issues and stuff like that. But ultimately, it can't tell the difference between a personal expense and a business expense. There is no way to tell it how to do that unless it's a very individual kind of scenario.
Specific agent.
That's right. You know, and it's very specific to that person because we all spend very differently. So how can it ever distinguish? So yeah, I don't think it's going to take over the world, but it's certainly going to help us a lot to get information faster, to create documents and, you know, templates and all those things a lot faster, which it's certainly helped me. It also helps, you know, when we're having a very bad day and we really want to scream at somebody and we just put it in an email and then we go, oh, please, Claude, make it more professional and nice.
I thought you were going to say, like, when you're there at 10 p.m. at night and you're like, ChatGPT, why does nobody love me? and then ChatGPT's like, oh, let's talk about it. No, my ChatGPT doesn't even do that anymore. It just goes, have you considered calling Lifeline? Last time we had a chat, we talked about, you know, the emotional, you know, state, I guess, of bookkeepers, right? Because it's a very high stress job sometimes, especially like bookkeepers who, you know, the average bookkeeper is working for, you know, half a dozen to or whatever, like small business owners, usually males.
Yeah.
Sad as it is to say, because there's still more men that are in small business than there are women.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've seen it countless times before where the blokes just like don't even really know what the bookkeepers do.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, it's the bookkeeper's fault. When things go right, it's just whatever. Like that's the system.
Yeah.
That's just normal. You're just doing your job. So talk to me like, you're in a Facebook group where you've created like a community with like 8,900 bookkeepers. What's the vibe like at the moment? I mean, in the world generally, I mean, aside from the fact that right now here it seems pretty chilled, but everybody's stressed out.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
Look, I mean, we go through ups and downs. You know, the industry, you know, when we get told, oh, there's another compliance thing we have to deal with, it's like, oh my God, and the group explodes with, why do we have to do this? It's so hard. You know, so we do go through a lot of ups and downs and it is mentally challenging because we do take on, most of us, like, I don't know how many spiritual people we have out there, but most of us are very empathic. So we're very empathetic to, you know, our clients. And if they're having a bad time, if they're struggling or if something's going on in their life, you know, we tend to take it on a lot. And we do have a very high rate of, you know, mental health issues, you know, like I should just name mine, like depression, anxiety, PTSD. You know, so, you know, they're not alone out there and we do work with them a lot. And I was just talking to someone today and she's like, oh my God, I'm just overwhelmed. I've got 2 kids on the spectrum. I'm, you know, really struggling. I can't even get an EIS, and I've still got to run my practice. You know, so we have a lot of that. And because it is a majority women run bookkeepers, right? And then we go through, you know, our mental health, but then we get menopause on top of it. Like, hello. And that's a whole other level. You know, the highest suicide rate for women is between 40 and 50 when they're in menopause. The highest divorce rate is also during menopause. So beware. You know, be kind to your women.
My partner's 39.
Yeah, she would be starting now. Be kind and understand it is not her, it is her hormones. But that's what we're all going through. And it's...
She told me the other day, she goes, Google perimenopause.
Oh, no!
I was like, oh, you know, you just did it. You tell, is it time?
It's a hard time for everyone. Like, my husband has had to adjust significantly because I'm at the stage where I don't give a
Yeah, I'm just leaving for 6 weeks, babe. See you in 6 weeks. Seriously, before the episode started, you said...
Yeah, I have. I've run away from home for 6 weeks.
Okay.
My husband's like, how long are you away for this time? I'm like, 6 weeks? Okay.
Does he use the time well?
Yes and no. I mean, my girls are still there at the moment.
Okay.
But my eldest is running around for my youngest, so that's okay.
Yeah, okay. Does he get to get some fishing in it?
No, he does his boy things, like he's you know, he goes out go-karting with a mate and stuff like that.
Go-karting?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've got a wicked indoor go-karting in Melbourne and it's literally like multiple levels and tight corners.
Oh, that sounds sick.
It's so much fun. It's all electric carts too and they actually go pretty fast.
Yeah, that sounds dope. You into go-karting?
Yeah, we love cars.
You're a kart family?
Yeah, we're a car family. We've got a couple of VH Commodores.
Oh, you're a Commodore family. You're a Holden family. I was always a Ford guy.
Ah, right. Well, I did like Fords when Craig Lowndes was driving for them. So,
I'm not a Ford guy anymore. No. I'm not really a car guy. But like I do have a Hilux.
Okay.
Because I'm a Queenslander, and if you don't have a Toyota Hilux as a Queenslander, are you even really a Queenslander?
No.
Unless you have a Land Cruiser or a Hilux, you got nothing at all. And parked on the other side of my driveway is a BYD at 03 EV. So best of both worlds, you know. I've got the diesel ute, dual cab Hilux, and a little EV. And I'll tell you what I'm driving most of the time now is the damn EV with the price of fuel. Anyway, I digress. We're here to talk about Bookkeeper Support. We're here to talk about Kelly. Another thing we talked about when we chatted last was the role accountants play in this whole thing, right? And I've gone on and had that conversation with a couple of other people and stuff like that. But I just want to rewind a little bit and go back to some of the talking points we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know how we got there, but we got to a point where we were talking about how, you know, accountants can sometimes cause the vulnerability, the insecurity of the bookkeepers by, you know, blaming them or by like making not really helping them know how they want the account to be run and stuff like that, and not actually like aligned with, you know, not treating the bookkeeper as an extension of practice, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the common problems that we're seeing is around the communication. So the communication's not there. So a bookkeeper will reach out and go, hey, you know, I've got this problem, you know, how would you like to resolve it? Because accountants do things differently as well. So sometimes, you know, when we're entering something, we go, okay, you know, if it's a car loan or something like that, we're like, well, how would you like it entered? Or how would you like me to, you know, would you like to enter it? You know, so we give them options and whatnot. And often we will get crickets, nothing. And that's why, you know, I take on a lot of support and I get random phone calls and, you know, random messages going, help, the accountant's not helping us and we don't know what to do. You know, so it's like, okay, well, it's a general journal and you do this, that and the other. But we need to be able to support each other. And it goes the same for BAS agents. Like, this is not just against accountants, because there are some BAS agents out there that don't even want to talk to the accountant. We've got BAS agents out there that are, you know, and accountants who hold software for ransom, you know, when the client decides to move. It's petty stuff. And it's just not on, and we should be communicating better together. I mean, we're there ultimately for the client, right? So we should be working together and making sure that, you know, everything is beautiful for the client, and they've got the right tax planning, and they've got the right tax support, and they've got the right clean books, you know, which is what we aim to do as BAS agents. And like what I teach is like balancing to the balance sheet. So it's making things easier for the accountant to go, right, end of year work, so much easier because they've got a clean balance sheet. They've got all the working papers to say how we came to that conclusion. They've got all the bank statements from us for the client. You know, so we're trying to make their life easier. But if you don't communicate with us, we can't do that.
So what about the other way around? Like, because another thing that you sort of brought up was that, you know, you admitted that there are a fair few subpar bookkeepers currently. So what can bookkeepers do better, or what can the bookkeeping industry do better to, you know, make sure that they're pulling their weight a little bit more as well?
Yeah, I think it starts with TAFEs and things like that, because they're saying, you know, same with unis. They're saying, oh, you've got your degree now. Yeah, you can go and be a bookkeeper. You can be an accountant, right? But when you look at the uni degree, it doesn't actually do any transactional bookkeeping. It's all overview.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you've got your CPA, you've got your CA. That's fantastic. You shouldn't be doing bookkeeping unless you've had someone who can train you. You know, to understand the transactional side. Otherwise, it's all general journals and it just creates a mess. You know, so, and with BAS agents, some of them overstep. Some of them, you know, do all the depreciation and things like that. Some of them have to because the accountant doesn't. But majority, we don't need to do that. You know, that is the accountant's general role. So it's kind of like we've got to understand kind of where the boundaries are and work with the accountant on where those boundaries are, because every accountant is different. Like, most of them will say, yes, please balance to the balance sheet and tell me all about it. And others are like, no, I'll do that. But a lot of the time they also let us down, but they're not doing it, right? And BAS agents are like, well, I don't need to balance the balance sheet, but the accountants aren't doing it. So it's kind of like we really need to work together to figure out, okay, you want that line, you want that line, yep, we're meshing, that's great. Let's move forward. It's going to be great for the client. But if we're not meshing, then, it's turning into a shit show, basically, of who does what and, where the line is. And I think that's a big problem as well. But, I mean, there's a lot of bookkeepers out there that have chosen not to learn anymore because they think, oh, I've got my Cert IV and I've done all my training in accounts payable, so I am qualified to do everything. It's not enough.
So if I was a business owner, I should insist that my accountant and bookkeeper work together.
Yeah, and a lot of them do, but they still don't.
A lot. What do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of business owners will, they'll be CC'd in on the conversations. Right. And they'll say, yes, please work with my accountant or please work with my bookkeeper.
Right.
But there's still
so there are practices that do both, right?
Yes.
Does working with a practice that does both kind of solve that problem, or have you seen that issue even in internal?
Not internally as such, but I have seen the accountants get bookkeepers that just can't do the job.
Right, yeah. Oh, okay.
And they create more of a mess, but the accountants don't pick up on the mess because they don't have the processes and procedures in to find the mess.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And they're just overlooking, right? Again, they don't do transactional.
Yeah, okay.
So they need us to be able to go, right, transactional side, this is how we fix things. Or, you don't need to do a journal to the bank account because we've already done all the bank rec, and we see this issue a lot as well. You don't need to, do a journal to the trade debtors, just find the problem and fix it. You don't need to trade creditors. You shouldn't be doing any journals to any core accounts, right? That is the bottom line of what I learned when I was doing school from an accountant. But she was also a bookkeeper, so that's what made her fantastic. If you want to do that side of things, great, learn. Come to me, I will teach you, of things to look out for. There are so many red flags that are being missed by accountants and by bookkeepers. So the industry needs better training. They need, on both sides, and they need better support from each other. And that's the only way we're going to come together is to actually to communicate, talk to each other, and, work together. And you can't just ignore someone because you don't want to work with them. I'm sorry, you don't have a choice. The client has chosen, not you.
When should a business hire an internal bookkeeper?
I think when it is getting too much for the contractor. Like if you're doing more than 3 days a week, that's when you should start talking about hiring someone internally, because then you've got that person there all the time and you can really get to know them and they can understand, what's going on, and they can help you move forward with the financials and things and keep them more up to date. But I think other than that, most businesses don't need a full-time bookkeeper anymore, unless you're a multi-million-dollar business or, even then, because we've got so many processes and so many systems and things that make it a lot quicker for us. So unless they're a massive business, no, you don't need one internally.
Okay. What about the actual running a business side of being like a bookkeeper? You do talk a lot about, helping them with the practicals, helping them actually operate their businesses. Do you get into the nitty gritty of actually running the business themselves, for themselves and work-life balance and stuff like that? Because I can't imagine that bookkeepers would be one of the types of business owner would have to be up at 10 o'clock chasing invoices and stuff for other people, right? That's going to be a common theme.
We have a lot of, when people come to me, in my retreats and my workshops and things, often I hear, oh, this client is still messaging me at 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, no, that is not on. I did it for a long time and I'm like, no, that is not cool. The reason that I did it was because when I first started my business, I was working full time in the city with a 1-year-old kid, and I was doing it after hours. So I was literally doing it after that. So 6 to 10 o'clock. So they thought, yep, they could call me anytime. But when I moved to, structured hours, they're like, this doesn't work for me anymore. And it didn't work for them, and it didn't work for me. So, I had to put in those boundaries to go, no, this is cut-off time. I have an automatic message that goes out after, 5 o'clock, or my email will automatically say, do you want to send this email in the morning? And so I'm like, yes, because I don't want to show the client that I'm up all hours, because then they're going to think they can contact me at all hours. So you need to put in those boundaries and those systems to be able to go, no. And you need to be able to say no. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have in the industry, because we're also giving and we're also nurturing, and we want to be as helpful as possible. And no is a very hard word for a lot of us.
And when you say us, do you mean bookkeepers or women?
Yep. Bookkeepers.
Not women?
Well, not women, no. I can quite happily say no to my children and my husband, you know. That's easy. But to clients, you want to go above and beyond. Like, that's just how we feel in general, most of us. But we've also got to learn, you know, and it is a hard lesson to learn. You've got to have boundaries. You've got to have no time. You've got to have me time. And that's really important. Otherwise, if we're not looking after ourselves, then we can't look after anybody else.
That's it, right? Like, that's what I was going to ask next, was basically, like, how do you teach somebody who's not used to saying no, how to say no?
Yeah, so it is about boundaries. And like when I do my implementation sessions, I go, right now, you are going to set up your email. So when it's, you know, that's going to give you that message to say, are you going to send it in the morning, right? Schedule it.
Yeah.
Right. I tell them to turn off their phones or they put them on do not disturb. So my phone goes on automatic do not disturb, except for my favorites, which is my family.
Yeah.
Right. So come 6 o'clock, I'm not available. Right. Unless I know that one of my mentorees is only working after hours, then, you know, I can compromise. But,
that's different.
Yeah, that's right. And he can't do any other time. So I'll often, you know, message him at 7 o'clock at night. But he's generally like, it's shut down at 8 o'clock. So, you know, I know it's not going to happen after that time, or I'll just get an email. But yeah, you need to be able to set up systems to be able to go, no, I'm switching off.
Yeah. Do you think that AI is a threat to the bookkeeper?
No.
No?
No. I think it's going to enhance what we do. And I think it's going to give us the opportunity to expand on what we offer. You know, everyone talks about advisory. Honestly, if the client doesn't want it, it ain't going to happen. And that's what's happening a lot, because they don't want to know their cash flows or budgets or anything like that unless they get to a certain point and they're like, oh, hang on a second, I really need to know this. A lot of them don't even want to know their P&Ls and balance sheets. They're like, yeah, there's money in the bank, it's fine. You know, but I think with this payday super coming through, I think that's really going to shake a lot of businesses up, and they're going to go, hang on, where's my money? So I think it's going to come to a head, and I think we will be able to add those services in a bit easier, and it will be a little bit more acceptable coming up to this payday super. But at the moment, it's a bit hard to get, you know, on advisory, because they're like, well, I think I'm doing all right. But they're not.
Imagine if somebody was listening to this and they had no idea what you meant by payday super.
Get educated.
What do you mean by payday super?
If you're not a part of my newsletter, seriously, get on board. You know, all the associations are, you know, you need to be on an association newsletter list, or you need to be listening to their podcasts or their, you know, Bookkeepers radio, or you need to be engaged in the industry to keep up with what's actually happening. The amazing thing is that, you know, when the QMS came in, I still had bookkeepers going, do I need to do that?
Really, though?
Months after.
What's happening with payday super? Seriously.
1st of July. Payday super comes in, and every time we make a pay run, we have to pay the super.
So they're doing multiple things. So they're doing the tranche 2 AML changes.
Yes, the AML changes and payday super
Are they
at the
related
same time.
or two separate things?
Two separate things.
Who timed that? Are they is it two different people doing it?
Two different entities.
Two different entities. Austrac and the ATO.
So payday super, ATO, Austrac, AML.
Come on. Who's running this shenanigans? What are they doing?
I know a lot of accountants have to comply with the AML because they have their clients that have them listed as their ASIC agent and their address.
Yeah.
Right. So that primarily pulls them in. But then you've got, you know, if you handle the client's bank account, internet banking, if you're, you know, or if you're a signatory on there, or if you're approving payments, so you can actually go in there and approve the payments and pay people, then you have to be registered for the AML. So a lot of bookkeepers are finding a way around that by saying to the clients, they're starting to train them now, which is great, to do their own payments.
Yeah, okay.
To manage their own payments, and, you know, so they're not having to do it. And they're also making sure that their addresses aren't, you know, for the client's addresses, for ATO, for ASIC, anything. So they're trying to go, no, I don't want to do this. And if they don't want the complexities and the audits, then they're going, no, you do it.
All right, let's wrap this up with 3 questions.
Okay.
They're all the same question directed at different people. Question 1, what would you say to, if you could like give the one piece of insight, information, education or whatever that you could think of for a small business owner as it pertains to getting the most out of their bookkeeper, whether it's a contractor or internal, what would it be?
Work with them on systems, systems that you can understand and systems that they can work with. Because, if that bookkeeper disappears or, retires or anything like that, then you need to have a process for the next person that comes in. Unfortunately, I have seen it. Yeah.
Second brain?
Yeah.
AI, second brain.
Second brain. Embrace it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it. See what it can do, play with it, and see where it can help you in your business. It doesn't have to do everything for you, but if it helps you in the smallest way to save time, which gives you time back with your family or your kids, your partners, whatever, time back to travel. And especially if you want to travel around Australia, get in the back of a van, let's go.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Do you just get around in a van?
Well, no, not a van. It's a Mitsubishi ASX, but
Second question.
But I drive everywhere.
Second question. Same question in reverse. You're talking to a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
What can they do to create a better working rhythm with their SMB client?
Make sure that you know what you're doing.
What? Become trained?
Yes.
It's very simple and very, very effective question.
Yes.
We just happen to know somebody who does bookkeeper training and their name's Kelly. And where can Kelly's bookkeeping training materials be found, Kelly?
On my website, bookkeepersupport.com.au. So all my prices are there, all my training options are there, all of my courses are there, my lunch and learns, my checklists, everything. It's all there.
And final question to the accountants. What do the accountants need to do better to support bookkeepers?
If you want something done a certain way, then talk to the bookkeeper and say, hey, can we do it this way? Because it's only going to help us do better. And, especially if you need it for tax planning, we want to do the right thing and make sure that the file is ready for you for that. You want tax planning in, the end of, Q3. Great. Okay. So we know that we need to have it done as soon as possible in April so you can do your tax planning. It's all about communication.
So for the bookkeepers, it was, what was it?
Education.
Get trained. For the SMBs, it was develop systems so that you have continuity and so that it makes life easier for the bookkeepers.
Yeah.
And for the accountants, it's actually communicate with the bookkeepers. That's some actionable, simple, effective feedback for everybody in that food chain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Bookkeeper Support group on Facebook is just called Bookkeeper Support?
Bookkeeper Support Group Australia is the group that's just for Australians.
Yep.
And then we've got Bookkeeper Support, which is my business page. So you'll see all the events and everything happening there.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think, look, if you don't know something, ask.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You don't have to flounder around by yourself. You are not alone. If you're struggling, book a free 15-minute with me. Tell me what's going on. Maybe I can help or maybe I can steer you in the right direction. But don't sit there and go, oh, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand, because it doesn't work.
Free 15 minutes. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Kelly. It's been a pleasure.
You're most welcome. It's been fun, Joe.